You know, when you think about wintertime fishing in our area, it's not what, half the country is completely iced over. We're blessed that we can fish 365 days a year and it basically never gets too cold to fish. Typically in our area, crawfish are always a big factor. I mean, crabs are a big factor in certain areas when you're bass fishing. But in that wintertime period, bait fish seem to be more of the primary forage. If you can find a dead end somewhere in the middle of the winter, somewhere in the marsh or in the basin, that's loaded with shad, that's the deal. They can gorge that time of the year because the bait fish bunch up, and so it's just a perfect time for the bass to feed on them. One thing that I find, when our water temperature gets below 50 degrees and it's in that high 40 to mid 40, because typically when it gets low 40 to high 30s, when we get a severe front, you can't catch one. But I find that reaction type baits actually work better that time of the year than slow moving baits. 1.5 or 1.0, because that's typically about the size of our shad, what those fish are feeding on. Probably number one to me that time of year is a red-eye shad. Strike King makes two versions of that. This is a typical lipless rattling bait sound. Okay, the new version of that is called a two-tap. And because what happens is a lot of times there are a lot of guys fishing in the same canal. And if everybody's throwing one that sounds like that, if you have one that does a little bit different, has a different sound. This actually just has one tungsten BB in it. It's a more of a duller sound, but both baits are equally great in cold water when those fish are feeding on bait fish.